Hey, what's up, guys? It is Dan from FightWave, and today I'm joined by somebody who I've been wanting to speak with for quite some time now. I know a lot of my English mixed martial arts followers have been wanting me to speak with this guy just because he's one of the best in the world right now in the featherweight division. What he's been doing at the featherweight division, he's on the cusp of a ranked opponent or something big in the division. He's facing Josh Culibao at the O2 in July, and I'm joined by none other than the Miracle Man himself, Lerone Murphy. How we doing today, brother?
Let's go, man. It's Sunday, so it's my rest day today, but gearing up for another week of camp. Ready to go, man.
Absolutely. And obviously you're facing Josh Culibao at the next UFC London event. Talk to me about the preparation for that fight a little bit. Obviously, I've spoken to Josh on a multitude of occasions, and you and him are two amazing people. It's a great matchup for the fans. The fans absolutely get an amazing treat. It's a 50K performance or fight of the night in the making for either one of you. Talk to me just about that, and obviously the preparation going underway to fight the Australian Josh Culibao.
Yeah, man, it's a great matchup for the fans. Like you said, stylistically, it's a good fight. Similar styles, like to strike at a range. He's well rounded as well, and he comes to fight. So I think he's won his last 3 fights, maybe. So he's on a tear as well, man. So I feel like the winner certainly gets top 15, a number by the name, or at least a matchup against a top 15 guy in the next fight. So I'm looking forward to this fight, man. I feel like I need a big performance in this fight, and this could be my coming out party.
No, yeah, absolutely. And, when you look at the implications of this fight, like you said, possibly a top 15 or a number next to your name, it speaks all the more, about the preparation that needs to go into this fight, and just, the stress and the risk that comes with taking a matchup like this. But I feel like in your career as far up to now, it's been nothing but risk, fighting nothing but killers, the likes of Makwan Amirkhani, Douglas Silva de Andrade. Obviously you were calling for the Nathaniel Wood fight, which I'll get into a little bit later. I know that's a fight you want. Just your career in the UFC thus far, and just overall across the British mixed martial arts circuit, has been fighting nothing but the best of the best. And I feel like that's synonymous with your career and where you come from, where you're leaving no stone unturned in this journey. Given everything you've been through, given all the adversities, all of those, and just it's synonymous with your career and how well you've shown yourself as a human being and as a mixed martial artist. So talk to me obviously about, just the mindset going into this fight, and obviously just as of late, how everything's kind of culminated for you.
Yeah, the mindset's the same, man. I train hard, work hard, cover all the bases, the things I can control, which is my fitness, my technique and whatnot, and then everything else will fall in place, man. Like, there's only so much you can do in it, and I feel like getting thrown in the deep end from early. I got signed to the UFC at 8-0. I fought nothing but killers, like you said, and I feel like I needed that in it to level me up. And even the last fight, I come back from a long layoff. Was injured, had some mad stuff going on, and I come back after 17 months off and fought some 10-0 Brazilian, which was a good fight. Took me into deep waters, but I needed that. I feel like the next time I fight now, I'm just gonna level up differently. Do you get what I'm saying? I feel like just in my career, I've had the right fights at the right time. Everyone's leveled me up, and I still feel like I've not even shown my best yet, honestly. And I hope I get to perform this time though. I hope I just get to lay it down and show everyone what I'm really made of. So I'm resilient, man. If you follow me and follow my story, you've seen what I've been through. You've seen that I just keep going.
Absolutely, and I love that you mentioned that resilience, and I think that's something that stands out to me and puts you, in my opinion, kind of and obviously all due respect to the English mixed martial arts scene, but it puts you as a personality, as a role model, and as a martial artist, human being, fighter, kind of a cloth above, some of the other fighters because of where you came from, the adversities you've had to overcome. Obviously, there's the circumstances that transpired in 2013, like the miraculous recovery and journey you had from there, and then you had the biking incident, and just the way you've been able to come back from these, insane circumstances. And there's a reason why then your nickname is the Miracle, because it honestly is a miracle. But you've made sure to show that despite it being a miracle, there is a level of hard work and commitment that comes alongside that. And you've absolutely put, the rounds in to make sure that you can make it back to where you are and where you can be at your best. And that's something that stands out to me about you, Lerone, is that resilience that you display, and just almost, you're a role model for the youth. In English mixed martial arts, obviously, it's one of those nations that's very tight-knit within that culture, and like, when they get behind their own, it's like it's a country like no other. But what you've been able to do for the youth in England, in the UK, in the UK as a whole, it's nothing but motivating and nothing but inspirational with your story and what you've been able to do. So talk to me just about having that, that level of kind of stature and putting yourself in that position to motivate the youth and show that despite your upbringing, despite the circumstances laid upon you, you can always bounce back. Because if there's anyone that can bounce back, it's Lerone Murphy.
Yeah, so for me, obviously, I started late. I started MMA at 22 years old. From obviously, I come off like living a totally different life, and so it just for me, that's the importance that I'm giving back, and I'm showing kids that it's never too late to turn your life around. There's always something out here that you can do differently from the streets or whatever you're up to. Do you get what I'm saying? And obviously, I don't feel like I'm as big as I'm gonna be, and not everybody knows me yet, but the story's not complete yet. I'm trying to be champion, and that's when I can sit back and tell my story a bit more. I want to be making a movie, bro, and that's no joke. I want to be winning the title and then getting a movie made about my life, because my life's been crazy and I've been through a lot of stuff. A lot of people have been through a lot of stuff. Do you get what I'm saying? But I feel like my story is just like one thing after another almost. Do you get what I'm saying? I've lived a mad life in it, but I'm very, very grateful for where I'm at, and I need to be able to give back though to the youth. Like you said, that's one of my biggest goals, to give back to the youth, open my gym, bring in a lot of kids, change a lot of kids' life, and my life be complete, man.
Absolutely. And I mean, you talk about like you making a movie and the motivation, and I think that's kind of just like the English mindset, is that level of perseverance and that level of grit. Obviously, we saw the story that transpired with Leon Edwards, his journey. You talk about a rocky storybook ending, what happened with him and everything that transpired for him. The same could be said for you. And just, I think that, like you said, the story's not yet written, and the way that things are going, it's shaping up to be an amazing atmosphere and an amazing story in the works. And like you said, it's something out of a movie, because the stuff that happened to you, I genuinely, when I read it the first time around, I was shocked. And I'm like, the fact that this guy made it to where he is now and is still continuing to go up and level up each time, it speaks levels about your character. Because I know people who would give up in those situations, and I'm sure you know people who would give up, lay down in a bed and just crawl up and cry. But the way you went about it, traveling across the world, training, leveling up, and searching for kind of clarity through combat sports, it's something that for me is motivating looking in from the outside. And talk to me obviously about that, just the road back between these incidents and, traveling and seeking knowledge through martial arts.
I feel like that's the biggest thing. Even the kids in my gym, I tell them all the time, like, listen, you got good coaches here, you got good bodies here, but go and travel the world, man. Go and pick some things up from other people. Go and see how other fighters are living, and see the other side of the world. So for me, that was always a big thing for me, traveling. And I think the first time I traveled to train was America in like 2015, and I got to be around some UFC fighters at that time, and I was only amateur then. So that was important to my career, to see how them guys are living, see the guys at the top of this game, to motivate me to think, right, this is what I want. Do you get what I'm saying? And even train alongside them to see that it's doable. And then after my incident in last year, my car accident, I got knocked off the bike. I ended up going out to America, to the UFC PI. Got a lot of help there. Got a lot of supplements and stuff. A lot of treatment, and just built myself back up, because really and truly, like, fighting's all I've got, really. Do you get what I'm saying? Fighting's all I've got, and I feel like I've got a purpose. I've got a good opportunity. I've got a talent, and I'm not trying to just change my life. I'm trying to change my family's life as well. So there's not a lot of pressure, but I feel like there's a lot of work to do. Do you get what I'm saying? So for me, a car accident's never gonna stop me. The only thing that can stop me is death, bro. I feel like I'm getting to my goal regardless.
Absolutely. And I love that you mentioned kind of like coming to America and seeking, to improve yourself. And I think for what you mentioned, and something so powerful with your message, is there's nothing stronger than the human condition. And I think that where there's a will, there's a way. And something that stands out to me, and I'm sure you've probably seen it too, is, even with your story and with a lot of other fighters' story, I look at someone like Zion Clark. I don't know if you know about him, the D1 wrestler without legs, who just went
Yeah.
on, competed professional. I truly think that there's nothing more powerful than the human condition and the willpower of a human to succeed and endure and prosper through all means necessary. So that's what I
Mm.
get from your story. And even going back to, when you were a youthster, I know that you got into a little bit of footy. You were in the Liverpool trials. That's, still above all else, that's wicked to me to think like about that. But then obviously you succumbed to an injury that ended your footballing career, and then you transitioned to MMA and found success there. So even, early on, despite these, these insane events that I've overcame, I think that you've always kind of endured that where there's a will, there's a way mindset. So talk to me, obviously, even as a youth, just being able to find a way to transition from one love and one passion to another.
I just feel like I'm a born athlete in it. I just feel like I'm a born athlete. Even in school, I was able to play basketball. I was on the basketball team. I was good at basketball, football, it's literally any sport. I was good at athletics, running and stuff like that. I was good at that. But with the fighting thing, I've always loved fighting. Even watching it, my dad used to have the old school UFC DVDs. I used to watch them. My cousins we used to put on the gloves on a Sunday and fight and stuff like that. So I've always loved it. Do you get what I'm saying? But I was always scared. Like when I used to see people, like even my cousin used to box. When I used to see him like go out in front of a crowd, that used to be my fear, like fighting in front of people. Do you get what I'm saying? And I kind of just threw myself into that. But even as a kid, I would have never thought I'd be a fighter ever. So it's just crazy how life works. Do you get what I'm saying? I started training as a hobby just to learn how to fight basically, and they ended up having an inter club, then a first amateur fight, then it just one thing led to a next in it, and then they ended up turning professional, and then here we are today.
Absolutely, and I love that you mentioned that because I love seeing fighters kind of just showing a love for sports overall. That's something that I think that often goes overlooked. Is like besides fighting, I think that fighters truly are just born competitors across all disciplines and across all sports.
Yeah.
Like I look at Cyril Gahn who plays soccer, plays basketball, and the dude can dunk, and I'm like, holy shit, this guy is something else. And then obviously making it to trials as a youngster and then transitioning to other sports and just being competitive across all sports. I truly think that to be able to get into fighting, you have to kind of be well versed somewhere, and I think that that's why
Yeah.
it makes fighting such a great sport. And like you mentioned, with fighting, being able to more or less the pressure of going out and fighting in front of a crowd, since it's such an individualistic sport. And like obviously you see people playing basketball in front of crowds, but it's always a team sport, never just the bright
Yeah.
light shining on you. So that's what makes fighting truly special. And I wanted to ask you just off topic. You mentioned you play basketball. You mentioned you play football. Any favorite teams you keep up with? Maybe in the States. Any NBA teams? I know it's playoff season right now.
Do you know what? I'm not. When I go to the States, I watch it in it, but like when I'm over here, it's not readily available
For
unless you're
sure.
trying to stream it. Do you get what I'm saying? So I like the American football though, man. I watched the what's it called, the Super Bowl. Watched that, and I was fascinated, man. Them guys are real athletes. Do you get what I'm saying? But there's no sport comes closer to fighting. There's nothing like it. Fighting's the realest sport in the world. The realest sport in the world. Like the highest of the highs, the lowest of the lows, like people say. It's just like all the emotions you get through going through fight camps and stuff like that. Different emotions. One day you're feeling like the king. One day you're feeling like not even an amateur. And even just getting in there, man, like it's one man versus the next man. He's training to beat you. You're training to beat him. You go into the gym every day. Who's working hard? Who's working smart? Oh, it's mad. It's a crazy game, man, and that's why we all love it, innit?
Absolutely, Lerone. And I mean, just looking at this sport, it's a one of a kind sport. It's something that I think that even down to its most primal and most bare bones format, it still is just so unreal to witness, and just something that I think until it became a part of my life was like when it came into my life. I feel like with everyone I speak for, I feel like everyone when fighting becomes a part of their life, it's just like, where has this been my entire life? Where has
Mm,
this sport been? And that's the beauty of the sport growing, and people like yourself being role models and being ambassadors for the sport on such a
yeah.
grand scale. And I guess just to wrap things up, I wanted to ask you, obviously, with your message, with everything that's kind of happened, and with the path and the momentum you're behind. Obviously, you mentioned the story's not yet written, and I would hope it doesn't end here. I want to see the story go to the highest of the top, the mountains beyond the mountains. I want to ask
Mm,
you, just for this year alone, obviously, assuming, the fight with Josh Culibao goes your way, is there any goals for the remainder of 2023? Maybe get in the octagon one more time. I know there's a fight card in Australia, and I know that Australia loves themselves, the English people and the Brits. Is there any plans to maybe get on a card UFC Australia, UFC 293, or fight one more time?
Listen, when I started this year, well, after the injury last year, I've said to myself, when I'm healthy, I'm fighting. There's no going on holidays, and I'm working all year. So this year, luckily, I've had no injuries really. I've had one fight in March, won that. Booked to fight July 22nd against Josh Culibao. If I win that and I come out unscathed, I'm looking to fight again. I fight 4 times this year if possible, but I'm aiming for three fights. If I fight in July now, it sets me up nicely for another fight at least. I want to stay active, man, and I feel like if you're not a big talker, like I'm not myself, you've got to be active. It's simple as that. Otherwise, you're not going to go anywhere in this sport. There's too many fighters. The roster's too big. There's fights on every week. People just forget about you straight away. Do you get what I'm saying? So the goal is to be active, man, and get a top 15 fight at the end of the year and end the year on a high.
Absolutely. And I mean, thank you so much, first and foremost, Lerone, for your time. And I actually want to ask you one more thing. Is there any final message to the fans at home, perhaps, that are watching, or maybe like a message to just people who are maybe struggling with adversity? And, yourself, I think, being honestly, the perfect person, if there were anyone ever in this sport to give advice, just anything to anyone that outside, maybe struggling with a loss in mixed martial arts or struggling with anything in life, just being able to come back. What's some words of wisdom you would give to someone?
I would just say, for every dark night, there's a brighter day. That's my favorite quote, because literally, like, tough times don't last, innit? Like, there's always light at the end of the tunnel as long as you stay focused and don't fall off. Do you get what I'm saying? We're built for anything. Us as humans are built to get through anything. Do you get what I'm saying? And like, you just, as long as you got strong people around you and whatnot, everything will be good, innit? Like, that's how I think. Even when I'm going through like bad things, I just know at some point there's going to be light at the end of the tunnel. So just stay with it, stick with it, and just carry on the journey, man.
Absolutely. And I mean, thank you so much, Lerone, for your time. And, I always say these interviews are just more of a conversation above anything else. And for me, it's just, I thank you so much for the wisdom you've bestowed upon me, for being, somebody giving me insight, giving me motivation, and giving, just the fans abroad motivation. I truly thank you so much for that. And I look forward to watching you compete on July 22nd against Josh Culibao. I know it's a fight that's going to have fireworks attached to it, and I know it's a fight that the fans are going to be talking about for days to come. And I thank you so much for your time. And to the fans at home watching this interview, do be sure to check out Lerone on social media. His message in mixed martial arts is one of a kind. I think it's one of the best out there. And if you're not keeping up with Lerone Murphy and the story and the journey, I highly suggest that you do so. It's been me, Dan, from FightWave. If you guys enjoyed this interview, do be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. And have a great day, guys.